Hello, everybody, and welcome to my video and welcome to my channel. In this video, I have the honor to have with me to this interview the head of the community, the director of the community of Kaddex. Welcome to this video and welcome to my interview.
Hey, Giannis, thank you so much for having me this morning. It's really a pleasure to be here to get to talk about Kaddex and to get to talk to you, really.
Pleasure. And yeah, we are so interested to learn more about Kaddex, and we saw the Kadena ecosystem, the entire ecosystem growing. It was like surprising because most of the people didn't know about the whole ecosystem of Kadena. Is so much interested now. I saw a lot of questions from the audience so many times, like what's going to happen with the Kadena, etc. And Kaddex and like everything, what will grow the whole ecosystem is very interested for the community, you know, to learn more about it.
Yeah, so we are, Kaddex is one of the first major product launches on Kadena itself. We're a completely gas-free DEX for our users. So through our gas station smart contracts, and because of how very near infinitely scalable Kadena is, we're actually able to pay the gas costs of all of our users in perpetuity, meaning that you never actually have to worry about paying gas when you're swapping. We handle all of that for you. In addition to building a really powerful and robust DEX, we're also building a lot of other, what I feel is like base layer infrastructure for Kadena in terms of DeFi. We've built a web extension wallet and are looking at expanding the functionality of that. We'll be exploring lending moving into the future as well. And we've identified a really strong partner to do that with. And we'll be building a full stack governance application as well so people can actually run all of their DAOs on Kadena natively in the program that we're building. So what we're doing at Kaddex really is not just limited to building the DEX. It's just a lot more than that. We feel that Kadena has a very strong potential in the current layer one landscape. It really does solve the trilemma in 3 ways. So we decided, why delegate or relegate ourselves to just working on the DEX when we could work on so much more than that and do a lot more for the community.
I understand from my experience and from what I know about decentralized finance that this DEX hits so much decentralized exchanges, and DeFi is so important, and like it gives so much value to the projects, and we've seen that also with the other projects on the market as well. So what could you say some key features about the Kaddex, like what's important about the Kaddex or comparing to other projects right now, like what is unique about the Kaddex?
So we, of course, we're gas free, and we pay the gas cost of all of our users. That's like one of our major selling points. It makes transactions and trading much easier for the user. They don't need to worry about anything to do with gas. We just handle it all, and we're able to control that and sort of route things and handle things on our end through smart slippage controls in our gas stations, which is a specific kind of smart contract deployed on Kadena. Gas stations.
For example, sorry to interrupt you. I saw, for example, to reduce the gas fees of Ethereum, they've been built so many applications. There's the Polygon. They're trying to do some through other apps just to reduce the fees of their NFTs when they do an OpenSea or other platforms, just to reduce the gas fee. And I understand that is very important. Feature.
Well,
and the big gas fee, it's really very good.
I mean, the expensiveness of gas is sort of a nature or a product of a few different variables within an ecosystem, right? It has to do mainly, one, with network congestion, 2, the underlying value of the asset that's being used to pay gas. And those are kind of like the big 2, but on Ethereum, it also has to do with like the complexity of the smart contracts you're deploying. So when you're working with like these monstrous or these, our approach to building smart contracts has, each smart contract itself has like a very dedicated purpose. Like our staking, vaulting, the actual coin token contract itself, they're all independent entities that all talk to each other. and they're able to query each other and like call each other and perform functions and whatnot. But because each smart contract is like very simple in what it can do, but the cost of gas to deploy them is very low, you never have to worry about these like monstrous smart contracts that could be exposed to like vulnerabilities or bugs, which also allows you to like optimize for gas. So, and then also on top of that, due to how Kadena scales, of course, as the demand for block space goes up on Kadena, more chains can be added into the network, which allows for increasing of throughput and keeping gas low. So you never even really necessarily hit a point of full network-wide congestion on Kadena that would cause a massive spike in gas, because transactions are settled on each chain. Like if I'm working on chain 2, which is where Kaddex is deployed right now, I only ever need to worry about the theoretical congestion on chain 2. But if Kaddex gets to a point where chain 2 is getting a little heavy, we can always redeploy, or excuse me, deploy a new instance of Kaddex with similar liquidity pools on like chain 10, for example, which is a paired chain. So in that way, we can keep, throughput high and congestion low, while also expanding and scaling up the dApp itself.
What are the like upcoming launches that could be that are like in the program to be in the DEX in your program?
Yeah, so there's of course Kaddex, which is what we're building, and we should be launching this quarter. There's also a few NFT projects that I'm really enjoying the communities of. Everyone I've talked to who's actually building them seems to have a very solid understanding of exactly what they're doing. There's no like cash grabby, like shilly type stuff happening. It's all like, okay, like let's build something really cool. And then like, maybe if we make money on it, whatever, like that doesn't matter. Like, let's just make cool stuff, which is kind of my approach to building in DeFi. Like, I just want to make cool things. So there's Kadena Kongs, which is cool. Edge Runner 2776. And then the lending program, which I can't actually put a name to right now for some reasons. But that's coming as well in sort of towards the middle of this year. But of course, we're always like working with and reaching out to other projects that are in other ecosystems and helping them to fork over as well. Hypercent also is coming, and they're a fantastic launch pad. We're in direct partnership with their team now to help build the ecosystem. So a lot of what they do involves like outreach and then helping users launch their tokens and launch their projects on Kadena. They have a brilliant team. I've gone through their tokenomics. It's really smart, really well put together. And I'm excited to be working with them as well.
Awesome. And, for the most people who are not familiar with the smart contracts, and also most of the people doesn't understand even what means gas fees, and of course the fees of the transaction, because it's, and what could you say, like it's different or like it's more attractive to a project to be launched on the Kadena than let's say other something competitive, like simple.
So there's an interesting delineation to be made here. I think right now with launching on Kadena, there are some technical complexities when it comes to it, which is a factor and a matter of it being like a very new layer, or not new layer one, but up and coming layer one. Kadena uses its own proprietary smart contract language called Pact. And Pact is similar to Haskell, which is like a functional programming language. Pact is at its core designed from the ground up by the Kadena team to actually be like the perfect smart contract language. It's human readable. So if you have experience maybe like reading SQL or some other like basic contract, or even just like English, just a language as a whole, you can read through it and like have an understanding of what's happening. I feel very strongly that user experience and onboarding of new people is, of course, one of the most weirdly overlooked things in DeFi. They're just a lot of DeFi in my eyes is like built by engineers for engineers, not by engineers for people. Not to say engineers aren't people. Engineers are definitely people.
Yeah.
Yeah, Pact is just like, it's a very secure language in that it's human readable, and it's simple to execute and just like access and write as well. So that's like one of the biggest factors of like onboarding and like building out this ecosystem. But then also how scalable Kadena itself is. It approaches, I mean, I think by implementing Kuro nodes right now, which is the layer 2, Kadena achieves like a 480,000 transactions per second, which is significantly higher than anything else. And it does that all while maintaining security through Pact. So it checks off all of these boxes, and the developer documentation for it is getting, I think, reworked right now. So shortly we should see like a bunch of new developer documentation and all kinds of additional ways to learn how to build on Kadena.
As project, yeah, it's really amazing. When I first read it, I was like, wow, it was something in the for so long in the market I didn't know, because I just like 3 months ago, 3 or 4 months ago, I really did my review and like learn everything about Kadena. And there's a lot of competition there on the market, and one of the things which I see important in the project is like sometimes they get attraction from the institutions as well. So when do you think that is going to be the stage or the time that there's going to be a lot of interest from big institutions to the Kadena as well for mass adoption? Because I believe that's going to be, over the time from with the expansion and with the ecosystem and everything what is building. But like, what do you expect from what you see?
I mean, I think it's hard to pin a specific timeline on that. Institutional adoption, of course, like follows like the most popular products and what is marketed in and shilled to the absolute utmost. And sort of the stance Kadena has been taking has been like, okay, let's not worry about like getting all this like crazy marketing out there and all this viral marketing, and let's just build a really good product. And I think honestly, in my eyes, that's kind of the route to take. Like if you have a product that's like rushed out to launch, like a layer 1 that gets rushed out, it has like, crazy hardware requirements and like isn't designed well and gets shut down all the time, it's going to cause problems, and it's going to sully the name of blockchain for everyone. So I think Kadena's stance of just like really taking their time will, garner institutional adoption, if maybe not like tomorrow or next week, but I think it absolutely is happening. It's not a matter of like how quickly we can do something. It's a matter of how well we can do something. And I think the best way to do something is to take your time and ensure that what you're building is perfect.
Makes sense. All right. So most of the people have, most of the people, they see that there's a very valuable project, like for every cryptocurrency, not just for Kadena or for the Kadena ecosystem. And they, as investors, they want to know about the price. So Kadena in the last few months was like 20x or something, and then has a correction, because actually everything in the market is down. Even Bitcoin is
everything's down.
Yeah, more than 50% down. So, and I had a lot of questions from the audience, like if I believe that the price of the Kadena is going to go up again when it buzz. It's like from simple people. Definitely, I believe, and it's not only that, but what I want to see from your viewpoint, I don't want price prediction. I think it's something that I would never ask, and it's not good to ask, proper to ask as well. But from your viewpoint, and from your position, from the adoption and from the expansion of the ecosystem of Kadena, from what you're seeing, like what could you give like for 2022 as adoption, which could also I believe that's going to be more bull run cycles in this year, at least one or two. You know,
I
because
agree.
we had a 21. So, like, what do you think is going to happen also with the Kadena with this expansion that you're seeing with the ecosystem?
I mean, I think, of course, like as more projects are built on a layer one, the layer one expands and its value increases because you're working in factors of like TVL, right? Mm-hmm. The more value that's put into a platform, the higher the value of the underlying asset, you know, like the native token of that layer one goes. Like massive adoption of Ethereum has increased the price of Ethereum, massive adoption of Solana, Avalanche, all of these projects, you know, has worked to build out that price. I think a lot of what's happening on Kadena, sort of in the shadows and like, you know, projects I've been talking to that are looking to build, everyone is really bullish on Kadena, you know, this year. And there's just this like vibe I get, that Kadena's, you know, it's a racehorse, and it's being like groomed and prepped right now. And it's being taken care of, like it's being fed like top-notch oats. Like some stable boy is like handing it like a delicious apple and it's just like ready to go. But I just think that the ecosystem is really just like getting super geared up to like fully take off right now. And I think they're actually working on a full ecosystem fund at Kadena as well. So that should be, you know, pretty sweet when that launches.
If that's in the program, that I think is very good, because also I saw from the other projects when they had a fund and they announced it and said that it was getting a lot of value. There was 2x, 3x just from the announcement of that. That's very good to know. Yeah.
I think I actually don't know if they have fully announced that yet. I think there have been whispers about it. I've only heard of it. So I don't even know. I don't know. I think it's happening.
Yeah. And from my point of view, like from what I'm seeing now in the Kadena is that it's like you know, at the stage of the development about the price and like from mass adoption as it was the Solana before, like you know, not about technology. I'm not trying to compare about what they do in the project, but like the Kadena now is like it's ready for massive adoption. But also I see myself as a big opportunity to jump into it before it goes like to top 10 or top 20, you know?
Yeah.
Because I believe that it's gonna join like 2022 at least top 20 in my point of view.
I agree. I think that's a fairly accurate assessment, actually.
Yeah.
I mean, we saw it break into the top 100 this past year. And I mean, it's funny now. It's I believe it's still in the top 100 now.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, so it broke into the top 100 with some of the, if not the best layer one tech in crypto. And I mean, just like the technology speaks for itself. One of the chief advisors on the project is the literal guy who like designed blockchain and invented blockchain, Stuart Haber. Him and Scott Stornetta, I believe, wrote the initial white paper outlining how it's called How to Timestamp Digital Documents. And they published that in like 1991. And they've actually been running a blockchain and printing the hash every Sunday in the New York Times since like 95. Wow. I may be off by like 1 or 2 years, but I went to an event in New York and I met him, and he actually had a copy of the New York Times and was like, yeah, this is the hash for this week. And he's the most cited author, or him and Scott Stornetta, their paper, How to Timestamp Digital Documents, is the most cited paper in the Bitcoin white paper. So like these guys really have like a deep understanding of how blockchain works and like what the, you know, the best iteration and you know, development of the system looks like. So I just think like if, you know, that speaks for itself as well.
Cool. So about the like the basic function of the Kadena, I've already done a review and I explain to the people, to my audience, so they already know. So I do believe that you give us today already a lot of information, but anything else that you would like to share furthermore?
Yeah, I mean,
it's always appreciated.
I'd love to talk about the Kaddex DAO for a little bit and like sort of what we're trying to build with that. So we spent a lot of time really thinking on what are the current issues we see with DAOs. What are the current issues like we see with governance and voting and voting and governance tokens, and how can we solve those? And of course, it's a complex issue. Ultimately, when you're creating an asset that like runs a protocol, you need to ensure that the asset is, valuable. You need to ensure that like users want to have it, and that it also is a good, way to participate in that project. So we took two sort of approaches to the actual like governance side of KDX, which is our token. One being that you actually need to stake your KDX to earn voting power with it. Like if you just simply hold KDX, it doesn't really do anything. You actually have to stake it. And then when you stake it, you earn voting power. And then on top of that, you also earn 0.05% of every swap that happens on the network. So that's sort of similar to SushiSwap's model. But the interesting factor comes in how voting power is actually earned. So from day one, you have about 0.01% of the overall value of your staked asset when it comes to voting. And at 3 months, that gets to be 1x. So it actually takes a fairly decent amount of time for your, vote in the DAO to be counted for its full value. And this is a safety mechanism because we've seen other projects have to deal with whales who come in and just like buy up a ton of governance tokens. They'll buy like a few million tokens and say like, I'm voting this way. Like, this is my protocol now. I think that's just like bad for the community. So in conjunction with that system, we also have a social currency called Vibe Dust. And this operates within Discord. We have an amazing partner, Spot Chain, who we've been building that with. And when you're an active participant in Discord, you'll earn this social currency, which is not a tradable asset, but it's a metric of like your contributions to the DAO. So then basically between these two assets, one saying like, okay, like this is the tactile number and value of this user when it comes to their contributions in conjunction with the actual voting token itself. When it comes to looking at proposals and participation in the DAO, it paints a very clear picture of like who's like working on things for what reasons. Because you could have a whale who has like millions of KDX or whatever, but like no Vibe Dust and no participation or negative Vibe Dust. And you would start to think like, okay, well, maybe this user is like, what is their motivation for wanting to like liquidate this pool or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
But at the same time, you could have a user with not a lot of KDX who doesn't have like crazy financial means. Maybe they're participating in the product because they believe in it, but a huge vibe score. And not everyone in DeFi has like crazy bags to throw around. A lot of brilliant people I've met are just like, they're not rich. They're of, like average wealth and they just want to participate in things they believe in. And this idea that people should be restricted to the size of their bag as like how they are able to contribute it just doesn't gel well with us.
Yeah, and that way is not DAO anymore.
Exactly. It becomes a bag holding contest. So it's not a DAO. And actually our public sale to purchase KDX is live now. So we're running a public sale through TokenSoft. The first round of which is open until I believe the 15th. So if you're interested in purchasing KDX, you can go to kaddex.tokensoft.io and pick some up. As I said, this asset will be automatically staked for you before mint. It has a bit of a vesting period, but while it's vesting, you'll earn voting power, you'll earn swap volume, every benefit you would have if you were normally staking the token, you will receive.
So good to know also for the audience to know that there is a public sale now and they can also participate. I will also add the link below the video so they can go directly to the website.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you. But yeah, I mean, I think one of the things we're doing with the Kaddex DAO is really assessing like current issues that DAOs have, and how we can use all of these data points from other DAOs to assess them and fix them.
Cool. Perfect. And how long is going to be the public sale for the Kaddex?
So it's running now from February 1st until the 15th. 15th
February. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So also people know how much time, etc. Okay, it's going to be also information on the website, which I will add in the description. Perfect. So, all right. I want to thank you for your time. I appreciate your time and yeah, that you dedicated to us today to share more information about the Kaddex and the whole Kadena ecosystem, which is a lot of interest right now from my audience, but also from everybody right now, almost in the space. And yeah, hope to see you again in the future.
Yeah, Giannis, thank you again for having me. It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. And I really appreciate this opportunity to come onto your show and sort of talk about Kadena and my project Kaddex. So thank you so much.